Hello and welcome to the Free Cheese episode 657. I'm your Joe Dix, joined by Matt Selner. The Free Cheese is a weekly video game podcast about video games brought to you once a week by thefreecheese.com. It's not just the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, it's also a year where a mainline entry is released, and Matt, we're reviewing it. Resident Evil Requiem joins the list this week. If this is your first episode of the Free Cheese Podcast, welcome. If it's not, then you know the drill, but we're going to explain it anyway. Thefreecheese.com/the list is where we keep track of all 178 video games we've ranked so far. Resident Evil Requiem will join the list today, but not before we talk about our time with it, its gameplay elements, visuals, sound, and our overall reviewer's thoughts. But first, let's get back to that 30th anniversary bit. It is the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil, and we should celebrate. Thankfully, I will say, we will celebrate with Capcom. Unlike some other franchises that get up there, you don't always get the opportunity to celebrate their 30th anniversary. Thankfully, sometimes for their 40th, they make some surprise comebacks that we're still waiting on, but it's good to see Sign of Life, Konami. Thank you. Resident Evil 30. What's your earliest memory of Resident Evil? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, you would've been, like, 5. Yeah, that's a rough one. I don't remember the first time I saw gameplay of it. I remember seeing the box art at, like, Blockbuster, and it seeming scary even then, just from the logos and stuff like that. The 2 box art had, like, a pretty evocative, like yeah, you could tell, like, this is a horror video game. I don't remember the first time I, like, actually, like, saw gameplay or played gameplay. It may have been at, like, a friend's house who had an older sister, brother playing it, something like that or something, but I don't really remember. Do you remember your first experience playing a Resident Evil game? Because Resident Evil is important. Right, right. Ah. Ooh, that's gotta be good. Pretty solid. You got you got the Resident Evil experience. I think my first one was Resident Evil 4 on the Nintendo Wii, after being shamed by my friends, where they're like, "What do you mean you haven't played a Resident Evil?" And I think that was it, and then I bought that game and played it, and I liked it a lot. Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, yeah, yeah. Good god. Yeah, that's nuts. Um, what is the name or the franchise? What does Resident Evil mean to you? Mm, hmm. We do get to 9. Yeah, I think for me it's yeah, there's yeah, yeah, getting them all to feel good and yeah, modernized. Yeah, and I think like I to your point, there's been so much variation in the series that there's not like a clean answer that says this is Resident Evil. And I think that's cool. Yeah, and it's okay that it's fit. Like I think like you could right. No, yeah, it's its own thing. Yeah. I think what Resident Evil means to me is I'm gonna start off somewhere that's kind of its own thing in its own setting, but I'm gonna end up in a lab in a basement underground. That I think is the core of Resident Evil, and I think every single one has done that. But past that and an umbrella logo probably showing up, yeah, there's not like a ton of consistency. Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Um, okay, don't name it, but do you have a favorite game in the series? Okay. Okay. We'll come back to that. Let's start our conversation on Resident Evil Requiem, developed by Capcom, published by Capcom, released on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC, and Nintendo Switch 2. First released February 27th, 2026. I could not, for the life of me, find a back of the box for this game. I even looked in the customer images section of the Best Buy listing for the physical release and instead found a picture of some guy like uploaded a picture of a guy he saw outside of a baseball stadium instead of a picture of the game case. I'll send it to you later. Uh, but what I did find is on Nintendo's website an official description of the game. A new era of survival horror arrives with Resident Evil Requiem, the latest and most immersive entry yet in the iconic Resident Evil series. Experience terrifying survival horror with FBI analyst Grace Ashcroft and dive into pulse pounding action with legendary agent Leon S. Kennedy. Both of their journeys and unique gameplay styles intertwine into a heart stopping emotional experience that will chill you to your core. I also went ahead and grabbed they had a story description. I think I'm gonna read this here just so we can kinda get set the tone for the game. A body has surfaced at an abandoned hotel in the Midwest, the latest in a mysterious string of deaths throughout the United States. FBI intelligence analyst Grace Ashcroft has been assigned to the case in the same place where her mother was murdered 8 years prior. But when word gets out that a police officer has gone missing at the hotel, veteran agent Leon S. Kennedy is also dispatched to the scene. As Grace and Leon's paths converge, they must face their pasts and uncover the truth behind the Raccoon City incident that changed the world forever. But while the terrors of their memories echo in their minds, will they relive the nightmare or finally offer up a requiem for the dead? I don't know. It kind of sets the tone a little bit. My first question, is this the fastest release to recording when it comes to adding a video game to the list that we've done so far? I think the only Resident Evil 4 remake was pretty quick, but I think even that we spaced out by like 5 months. Yeah, so it had been a bit. Sonic Frontiers was the same year of release. We did Monster Hunter Wilds last year, but we did that, in, like, November compared to yeah, yeah. This, I mean, nothing's gonna change till they put DLC out, but that doesn't change the core of the game. We had this scheduled, just for the listener, for a more, seasonally appropriate time. I don't know, somewhere later in the year. I think we had it in, like, November, right? 'Cause actually, yeah, we didn't have it in October. October's stacked. Stay tuned. But we're kinda looking, and we had some holes in the schedule in April, and we both finished it, and then you finished it, and then you finished it, and then you finished it, and you finished it. So, why not bump it up and talk about it now? Uh, my question is, and maybe if you look at the lists, you may have this question as well. Why did we opt to add this to the list when we have so many Resident Evil games on the list, including two new additions to the list last year from the franchise? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Not extra time. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, we haven't really talked yeah, that's a good point. Um, I'll add too, I mean, I was asking that question as a broad hypothetical, not necessarily a direct inquiry into you, but, like, you added Resident Evil 5 to the list last year, really to chase another co-op experience. 6 ended up on the list incidentally because they'd announced Requiem, and we were like, "We should probably play 6 before Requiem comes out," just, like, canonically, and if we're gonna do it, we might as well play it co-op. We might as well throw it might as well be a podcast thing. And yeah, so I do think at this point we should probably play one and two, but just to get I don't know, I go back and forth on that all the time, which is why I don't think we've landed on it yet. But yeah, I think it made sense for us to do this one. Uh I lost my questions. I lost my section. Here we go. Speaking of this game getting announced, were you surprised at this game's announcement last year at E3? Yeah, I mean, I think Capcom had even said like they were working on something for the 30th anniversary or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, then they closed the show with it. Yeah. I think the thing that surprised me with it was I remember like because it had been kind of so obvious, like, oh, all right, I guess they're not announcing it today. When we cut to the closing trailer, we're now in an era where I think the Reach for the Moon engine, the RE engine, is recognizable. So as soon as we started seeing those characters, we're like, okay, well, it's Capcom. What are they doing? And we had no idea what it was, right? And you're like, who? Right, right. And you're so it's like, is this a spinoff? Is this? I don't know. Is this Resident Evil? I don't know. What did we? I forget what we were calling out with it. I feel like there were a couple things where we were like, ah. 'Cause we always jump to like, "Oh, it's a dead franchise they're bringing back." You know what I mean? Like, that's always the dream is that they're reviving. Yeah. So weird way to um, yeah, I don't know, but I did not expect it to be Resident Evil at that point. Um, so yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. And I don't did they announce February at that event right away? Yeah, so we knew it was coming pretty quickly. Yeah, that was good. Yes, I know, man. Everything came out at the end of February. Um, yeah, what a mess. So before we dive in, I should say up front, we're gonna talk through spoilers. I think generally, like we're only gonna talk about stuff if it makes sense to talk about it. We're not just gonna like blurt it out, but it's not a spoiler cast, yeah. But I would say like probably anything is open territory. So if you're still playing and you haven't heard it yet, or finished it yet, you might not want to hear certain things. Maybe wait, put this one on the back burner, go listen to Echo the Dolphin from last week, or one of the other fine episodes of the Free Cheese podcast that have come out ever. Before we go too far, and this could even be spoilerish a little bit, so just again, keep that in mind. Starting off the conversation, is there anything you knew about the game going into it, officially or not, but probably especially officially, that you wish had been kept a secret for you? Mm. Uh, Yeah, for me, I feel like all the way around, like we didn't need to know Leon, we didn't need to know Raccoon City. Like I was already sold just with Grace and the basic premise that we saw last year at E3. Like I didn't need the rest of it. I can see where officially announcing Leon, like brings in a different crowd. But for people who didn't love 7 or 8, this brings in the 2, 4 remake crowd to make sure that they're also getting something. But for me, I think his presence would have been more like, "Oh, whoa," like, had we not known that at all. Um, my other question going into this before we actually start diving in, which platform did you play the game on? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I and you were on base PS5 because this was one of the yeah, you didn't sell your car for a PS5 Pro. Yeah, no. Yeah, for a PS5 period, let alone the Pro is yeah, what are we doing? What is happening? Yeah, Kutaragi tried to warn us, 20 years ago. Now he's really laughing. Um, I was yeah, you played on base PS5. I know this one did have PS5 Pro PSSR2 support. It was it kinda launched with that, so a lot of people got extra fun out of it. Um, I was surprised back I think it was TGS maybe it was announced at Gamescom, but then demoed at TGS, but they announced a Nintendo Switch version would Switch 2 version would be launching date and date with the rest. And Matt, I'm kind of generally going all in on Switch 2. I'm trying to make sure that I am directly communicating with the masses that are these corporations. That I want them to target lower spec hardware. If it looks better on other things, great. But let's keep like to the point of these things being so dang expensive. Let's keep uh if we can keep our hardware around longer, why not do that, right? Um yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. I just realized yeah, no, I agree. I we don't have Pragmata on the schedule. We should probably talk about that later. Yeah, that might be another one to hit. Speaking of layup podcasts. Stay tuned. All right, so let's jump into our we spend the bulk of these podcasts talking about gameplay, which of course includes not just the controls and the gameplay and the experience of playing it, but elements around the story. We'll talk later about visuals. Obviously, we're going to talk a bit about how the game varies visually between the Switch 2 and the PS5 to the best of our understanding. I think if you want the full look, you should go to our friends at Digital Foundry um, for side by side stuff. We talk about sound, voice acting, etc., and then we'll close out and rank this thing. Gameplay, story. Story? Is that where you want to start? We know the setup, right? Grace. Yeah. Grace is going to investigate a murder, and then she disappears till Leon shows up. Uncle Leon. Sorry. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, they did. Yeah. No, 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 there's not much more story-wise that we could talk about without jumping into spoiler stuff, like, and just doing a full recap anyway, but I have some questions about the story, and we can revisit that stuff later, but yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Th they have to yeah, they gotta change things up a little bit. You mentioned something I wanted to come back to. You mentioned playing as Grace felt like RE2 Remake, where Leon felt like RE4. I think that brings up an interesting point of the option of perspective for each gameplay. Because for me, Grace felt like playing 7 or 8. Because by default, they put Grace in first person. And to me, it felt more like what I've played with Ethan Winters versus Leon, yeah, feeling more like a 4, 5, 6, or even Leon in 2 remake or whatever. Um, but you played Grace third person. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting that it still felt it like, more survival horror even in third person. Like you didn't need the first person to go there. But yeah, sorry. It was still spooky and yeah. Well, because yeah, they both have very different capabilities, right? Like Leon, I think Leon, you obviously like if you know the franchise, you know that Leon is more capable, right? But even just in presentation in the game, with Grace, like you know that she's Shaggy, and uh, and Leon like is confident, quippy, dumb Leon. Like you experience that. You could walk into this game, I think, brand new and not know anything about the series, and know, okay, well, this girl's very timid and terrified. This guy is very like, you know, right, drifting sideways, flying out, shooting as he but I think also, like, even down to, like, their inventory screens, you can see how competent he is versus her, like, there's just the game sets you up very, differently depending on which character you're playing as, and I think it's their, inventories, I think their, what do you call it? The weapons that are available to them. I mean, Grace gets a good variety of weapons, but I feel like Leon's are much more tactical. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, she doesn't have a shotgun? Oh, wow, I don't know. Yeah, yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because a lot of Grace's stuff is, like, you're more encouraged to run, hide, get out of there, yeah, and then the blood. Yeah, as all FBI analysts do, uh, she collects blood and makes weapons out of it or makes, power-ups out of it. Yeah. Um, and then yeah, I don't have anything else. Like, what else? How else are they different between the two of them? Mm, yeah, 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 funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a spot too, just speaking of to go back to your point of the cleanup route. There was a point, I don't remember the name or the you're still in the what are you in? You're in like a hospital? What's the opening bit? Orphanage? What's sorry. Oh, here, I got the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Center. That's where you are. Whatever that is. I don't know what they call it in the game though. Rhodes Hill. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So while you're in there, um, one of the rooms is like back in the kitchen. It's the freezer or whatever, and you have to kill the big chef to get the key to get in there. And I remember I had gone through with Grace, I'd gone through with Leon, and I knew that I needed to kill that guy, but I never like made it back to kill him with Leon, and I'd already switched back to Grace. And then you and I were talking, and just sort of like that, you know, gut check of like, where you at? Where you at? What's happening? Whatever. You were past that, and I said like, "Do you get to run back through as Leon? Because I definitely missed some stuff. I knew there were a couple of those doors you have to open with his axe that I missed and stuff." And you were like, "Nope, I don't think so. I think you're done." Um, and I was like, "Oh shoot, I don't know how I'm gonna take that big guy down with Gray." And I ended up like opening it up, and I don't remember what I did now. I didn't write it down, but I think I had to have used fire or whatever Molotov, or whatever she's got. What does she have? That's like a yeah. So it must have been that, but I didn't have much that I could do with that. And then maybe Requiem. Oh, I definitely didn't have that for him. Yeah. No, I just waited until that. Uh, yeah. No, I waited for him to get down the hallway when he's doing his little like march, and I hucked it, caught him on fire. Now it's come back to me, and then just dumped bullets into him until he dropped. He went down pretty quickly, but yeah, I didn't even. Yeah. Um, and then I got the key, and I don't even think it was worth it. I mean, I made the room blue and not red, so that was a plus for me. But I don't think there was anything like crazy in there that stood out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. But broadly, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yeah, yep. Couple shots, clear a door, and then yeah, yeah. Yeah. Not a crimson head, but it's yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was, like that Saturday morning was, like, that was where I was over coffee, you know what I mean? Uh, I had one problem with that section, and it was the end of it, because I had very carefully, meticulously picked off every zombie in the cells so that I could clean up once they were unlocked. Didn't matter. I just got bum rushed while trying to carry a child, couldn't defend myself, kept getting murdered, just had to scurry on out of there, and so be it. But, um, yeah. I I I don't know how deep I wanna go in terms of, like, we're there, then we go there, then we go there, but I will say oh, yeah. No, 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 but, yeah, no, but, like, that's I will say that, like, I do think this fits into that formula of, like you said, like, you're in this area where there's, like, okay, this person's gonna do something, you're gonna swap to this character and do something else all in the same area. Stuff that would have been formerly reserved for a separate playthrough as the other character. You're now kind of doing just with character swapping on the fly. And then we get to this point where like it feels like six in a way, where you're like, you're not quite global like six was. Like we didn't go to China, but you're like in a new spot. There's movement happening like around the area. Obviously, as spoiled by the marketing itself, you go back to Raccoon City, but there's a whole piece in there, and then yeah, you do the thing that every Resident Evil does, and you go underground into a lab. But like, um, yeah, I think altogether though, you're still like there's just such a good clean loop of look at the map, what's left, okay, let me go there, like puzzle solving to try and figure out where you have to go next, using your resources that you have, getting items that you find, and you're like, what is this? I guess it doesn't mean anything. And then you find out, oh, it's I gotta turn it upside down and open the thing, and there's a sign on the bottom, and all that stuff. Like it just there's something so satisfying about it that It's not quite they could just keep doing this over and over again, but when they do it this well, I could do it over and over again, you know? It probably would get tired if this is all you had, but I think that they do it so well that it's exciting and engaging to jump into. Yeah, same. In the I forget, yeah. Yeah, that one got me. I had to, like, throw something to trick them. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, then, honestly, there were a couple puzzles in there that I never solved, and I hit a point where I was like, "Ah, alright, whatever, well, Grace will run through here, and I'll be able to clean up," and, like, nope, okay. 'Cause there was stuff, like, there was the hints from, Barry, and I was like, "Alright, yeah, I'm gonna figure this out. I'm not an idiot," and I'm an idiot because I didn't figure it out. But then I did, there were 2 puzzles in there that I, like, completely didn't finish. It was Barry's stuff, and there's something else. I don't remember. You are. I know you are because they really kind of, like, push that, and once you are at the point where, like, you should go that way and go do that, I did run back in, and I did another lap, and I was still dumb enough that I couldn't figure it out, but I was like, "Alright, I'm not gonna waste time. I'll go do this fight." Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Um, you mentioned the enemies in the game. We get a couple different zombie types. The hook of this one is that they are this new strain of the T virus or whatever, however they explain it, has them sort of doing what they were doing right before they died. So some guy who was like turning on a light is just perpetually turning a light on and off. Um, or he'll turn it on and then get back on his walk cycle, and then you turn it off to make him go back to it, and you can get around him, that kind of stuff. Um, what about antagonists? Because I feel like 8 kind of had or Village had this like almost like Mega Man style approach to boss characters and antagonists in the game where you had to kind of like sweep around and get little bits from each of them before you fight Dr. Wily at the end or whatever. But yeah, this one, yeah. 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 Do we wanna talk about the other character at all? Yeah. Yeah. No, he's definitely not, but he definitely fits the mold. And yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, yeah, because he seemed like the true not villain, but, like, there was some true, yeah, yeah, he had something going on. The only other thing we haven't really covered gameplay-wise I wanted to talk about is difficulty. How how difficult would you say is the core just standard, like, load in, play everything normals, whatever they queue you up in? Um, yeah, it's a breeze. Classic, right? And you still get checkpoints even if you're not using the typewriter, is that correct? Okay. Okay. I see. So, yeah, you're only okay. Can you u is the typewriter infinite, or do you have to find ink ribbons? That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I follow the real world logic of that. Um, so I only played it the one time. I played through on, yeah, standard, normal, whatever, yeah. Um, and there wasn't there were a couple moments of like, "Ah, I gotta retry that." But really not too many. Yeah. Oh, on the roof, yeah, that was aggravating. But once I kind of it happened 2 or 3 times, I just went for the one dude that was really yeah, and then just sort of brute force my way through it. Um, but I don't think it's too bad. You replayed it. How easy is it to replay at higher difficulty levels? Oh gosh. Yeah. Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, sure, good, yeah. Gotta keep you on your toes. That makes sense. Oh, interesting. Yeah. You still gotta rely on those, because you can play that right from the start, or do you have to clear the game once to unlock it? Okay, got it. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Anything else on gameplay that we didn't hit? Cross story, controls, feel? Yeah, 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 that was good. Finally made its way over. Yeah. Oh, see, I'm dense. I didn't even know what that was. I knew it was something, and then I found out after the fact. I had to look it up. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's good for 30th anniversary and for that, like, it and if they can. Oh, and the yeah, yeah. Well, seeing yeah, the finished puzzles is really nice touch. Yeah. It was good. Um, w visuals, briefly to touch on that, uh, I think what I wanna I'll throw this out first, and then we can kinda build on there. The Switch 2 version looks so good. I was so surprised. If you've not seen it side by side and you're curious, go look up a video of it. I think Digital Foundry has a good side by side breakdown of everything. Yeah. But like I remember previews and stuff coming out and saying like, "No, this is pretty good. Like it's on par. It still runs at 60 docked." Like, because for me, while I do want to be an idiot and buy most things on Switch 2, I'm also like I have a PS5. There's no reason I couldn't buy it there. So I don't want to shortchange myself if the experience is going to be wholly worse, but it didn't seem like that was the case. And from playing it, I didn't notice a difference. The only time I noticed a difference is when I would see gameplay and I could tell from the hair. Oh, that's the PS5 or different. It's not the Switch version. The hair is the only part. There's a couple bits where like some of the character models just look shiny and shimmery at times, but it looks really close, man. It's like very impressive. So I was happy with that on Switch 2. I didn't do much handheld because I typically don't do much handheld, but it was nice at one point. I just didn't feel like being down here anymore. Just wanted to get away from the basement and playing on the TV. And I was like, oh yeah, I can literally do that. And I just picked it up, laid in bed, just with Resident Evil 9. I did most of RPD, I think, handheld, lying in bed, and it was a good time. It worked. Uh and it yeah, it was one of those moments of like Breath of the Wild 1, where it was just like, "Oh, yeah, I can take this out of the dock, and I can play the exact same thing I was just playing on my TV," like, it's kinda cool doing that again and having it be, like, novel. Um, on PS5, what did you think visually, design? Mm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. How about playing Grace in third person? Because I know, like, when they added third person into Village, it was, not an afterthought, but, like, tacked on and sort of like it could be a little weird. Did it look weird? Did it play normal? Mm, mm. Yeah, okay. I love speedrunners. I love that they found that. That's great. Um, yeah. Uh, Separate from the look of it, speaking around level design, you brought up some of the bits where it's evocative of past games, but is there other stuff like in the game, not just those direct callbacks, but things that just sort of feel right, that clicked? Was there a moment where you felt like for me, I remember, like, in the ward or wherever you are, the first bit, like, yeah, the badges and the like, all the way everything kinda snaps together, and you're like, I know what's happening," like, that I think worked really, really well. Um, I think that was the strongest. I think RPD obviously still feels great because it is what it is, although it's much smaller. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I missed a ton. Oh, yeah, you could just bail. Yeah. I tried to find stuff and couldn't, so jot that down. What do you think this game does new in the visual sense, or level design, or whatever? Mhm. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, that was different. We did get some weird plants later on. That was yeah. Moving into sound, the only note I have here is Leon's quips. S Go please do tell. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Mhm. Hmm. For sure, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, but yeah, I agree. I hadn't put it into that perspective before of like, yeah, this is what someone would be like. I mean, sure. I mean, like Leon is Leon's been through it, right? So he should be a little less he's a little more jaded. Uh but you know, he's almost too cool. Where Grace, yeah, really, really leans into it. But yeah, seeing Leon in this, it was like seeing like putting on a movie and being like, oh, It's Josh Hartnett now. You know what I mean? You're like, all right, still looking good, dude. But dude, they were so he was so dumb. This, like, I felt like they really tried to go the next level with just, like it I was yes, every single time. Like, they're really good. I need to incorporate more of that into my own life. So good, so good. Um, I wow, wow, wow. High praise. At the yeah, well, that brings us near our close. We're not quite there, but, uh, overall, I would assume we both like Resident Evil Requiem. I'm curious, do you think that this can be enjoyed by someone who's never played a Resident Evil game? Yeah. Yeah, you could, yeah. Sure. Yeah, yeah. Mm, yeah, yeah. And then, if you wanna get into the good stuff yeah, 5 and 6. Never play 1. No, what do you think this game does well for people who've kept up with the series? Yeah. Yeah, they really do. Um, this one did very well. Speaking of numbers, we have to rank this on a list of numbers. Before we do that, final thoughts. Anything left unsaid about Resident Evil Requiem? I agree. I agree. Ranking over at thefreecheese.com/the list, where Resident Evil Requiem is soon to become our 179th video game on the list. We're going to hit 200 this year. Did you know that? I did, and I already forgot. I did line it up. I don't remember, but we're we're getting there. Uh, I'm gonna throw out my ranking. It's maybe blasphemous, but I put this at 17. Below Eco, above Soul Calibur 2. Aha. Aha. I gotcha. I see where you're at. Um, yeah, I struggled with that a lot. I fought against. I was between the 2. So for if you're not viewing the list along with us at home, 19 is Resident Evil 4 remake and 23 is Resident Evil 4 original because we do have both on the list. We have a lot of Resident Evil games on the list. So I immediately knew like, all right, this is better than 4 1. But is it better than 4 remake? And I kind of wasn't there. It took me a bit, and then I saw Tears of the Kingdom for some reason is above Resident Evil 4, and that was like, well, this is definitely better than that. And then I was like, that's better than Soul Calibur 2. Yeah, maybe Ego's the line. Like, because to your point, there's some stuff in the back half of this that gets a little like, eh. There's some stuff around it that I wish like maybe was a little bit, but like on the whole, I like this. Uh, yeah, I'm willing to fall down a bit. Where you put this between Portal and Quake 2? Portal 2, Quake 2? No, but Portal 2 is really good, and Portal 2 has a campaign co-op that's really good. I'm okay with your ranking. I don't think I'm gonna fight you in the ranking. Are you good with that? Alright. Right. Yeah, 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 just raw. Yeah. That's fair. Because yeah. 4 was already so good, and they just said, "Okay, what if we made it play even better?" Yeah, yeah, that too. They expanded and yeah, 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 that's fair. Alright, there you have it. The new 21. Before we fully close out, what's next for Uncle Leon? We will find out, so says Capcom. Uh, do you think the little tease at the end with him and, one BSAA person is DLC, or is that Resident Evil 10? Right. But so it you think that's 10? Okay. Yeah, so you don't. Yeah. Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, no. Do you think we get a Grace trilogy in the end? They figure out Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. My last question was penultimate question. Where's Jill? Mm, okay. All right. 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 Okay. All right. Well, he's been in 7 and 8, you know what I mean? Like, we haven't seen a lot of these other characters in a long time. Yeah. Yeah. Some sort of yeah. We got a lot of Wesker. Where's your boy? Pull him out. Pull him out. They've done dumber. Maybe not. Final question. What is your favorite game in the series? Yeah. Yeah. He's muted. Yeah. I think I didn't really have a great answer for this, but I thought about it, and I think it might be 2 remake only because it's the one that really kinda set me on the path to properly play these. So, I'll say 2 remake, and that's that. Next week, WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 joins the list, another classic. Stay tuned for that. Got Tumbo the week after that, and a lot more planned for the coming weeks and months ahead. Until then, thanks, Capcom. You did it again. Thank you all out there for hanging out with us. And thanks, Matt. See you next time.